Hey guys, welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host as always, Harry Wilmington. And today we're going to be doing another text analysis because apparently you guys like it when I go through people's texts when they're trying to text women and point out what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and how to be better at it. And so today's episode, we're going to go over this guy's text exchange that he had with a woman that he recently went out with. And it's interesting because in the beginning of the text, you'll see that they went out on a date, and so she's actually hitting him up saying that she had a good time. And then over time, you start to see how this texting exchange kind of devolves into a situation where suddenly he feels as though she's not answering back to him, and he's wondering what he did wrong. And then there's actually a lot of stuff that goes on in the text exchange that me being a vet at this stuff at this point can look at and say, oh, he shouldn't have said this, he did this thing wrong, etc., etc. And as you are going about trying to text women that you're dating, you might not be aware that some of the things that you're saying or doing are actually mistakes, and that could actually result in a woman being turned off. And I don't want you to make those mistakes. So for one, we're going to go through this today. And then also, I got a book on my website called Texting Like a Boss, which gives you basically the 21 texting commandments that I personally use when I'm trying to text women, so that way I'm able to actually increase their interest and not lose them. If you're interested in that, you can go to the website to check out that book on the products tab. If you would like a question or dating concern that you have answered on one of these shows, or if you want to send me a texting exchange that you are having with a woman right now and you're not understanding what's going on or where you went wrong or why she's going ghost all of a sudden, then you can write me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com, and you can also send me the pictures of your text exchange at the same email address, HarryWilmington@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and go over this guy's text exchange. So he posted it on Reddit. And the question he asked was, did I creep her out by my last sentence? His last sentence says, quote, "You still look as beautiful as you always have. We went out last night and we hit it off, but I haven't heard from her since last night. Did I say something wrong?" So what I'm going to do, if you're watching this on YouTube, is I'm going to post up the texting exchange right next to me so you can read along as I analyze this guy's text. So you can see, again, what he did right, what he did wrong, and where he could definitely improve, all right? To start off with, obviously, like I said, this woman's name is Caitlin, and they must have gone on a date before this because this is her starting off the text chain where she's texting him after the date. So what she says is, "Hey, just letting you know, I got back to Tori's." I guess that's her friend or wherever she was staying for the night. But she says, "I had a good time tonight, and I hope we can do it again soon," with the little emoji and the stars and the eyes. And then she says, "Let me know when you get home okay." So this is a perfect example right here of why it is that you as the guy do not want to be the first one to try to text her after a date. Because what you want to do is you really want to gauge how well she thinks the date went. And so I find in my personal experience, if I go on a date with a woman and I show her a really good time, and then I don't send that after date text to see if she had a good time, what'll usually happen after 2 to 3 hours is that she will be the one to reach out to me and say, "Hey, I had a good time." And that's what you want, because when you text out to her, it seems like you're now begging to get answers about how she felt about the date you just took her on, which doesn't let you appear as a confident guy. But if you just leave it alone, that gives her time to sit there, reminisce about the date, how she felt, and come to the conclusion on her own that she had a really good time with you. And now, because she's hoping that she's going to get a second time with you, she knows that she now has to reach out to you to let you know that the time you just took her on was a great time, all right? So err on the side of not being the one to send a post-date text either right after the date or the next day, okay? Let her be the one to do that. And I found every woman I've taken on dates ever since I've implemented that rule have always texted me within an hour or two after the date to let me know that they had a good time, all right? So let them be the ones to do that. So that happens, and then he responds, and he says, "Glad you made it home safe. I had a lot of fun tonight too. Let's try to hang out this Saturday afternoon if you're free, question mark." So he did some things right here and some things wrong here. So the part where he said that, "I'm glad you made it home safe and I had a lot of fun tonight too," that is perfectly fine to text back to a woman to let her know that, hey, you also had a good time. But the problem comes after that when he says, where he's now trying to set up a date immediately after saying he had a good time. He's saying, "Oh, let's try to hang out Saturday afternoon, blah, blah, blah." So what he's trying to do is he's trying to basically set a date on the same day that he already had a date. And a lot of gurus will debate whether or not this is a good practice. I, based on my experience, have come to the conclusion that it is better to not try to set a date up on the same day that you just had a date with a woman, okay? Because this goes into the thing where women need time. They need time to really sit with themselves and figure out if they want to go out with you again or not. But also to the fact is that, and this is going to be a weird thing to say, and some guys may not agree with this, and women will definitely fight me on this at times, but there is a magic to not letting a woman know right away how much you like her and whether or not you actually want to take her out again. Because there's a level of this whereby she needs to not have a complete idea that she's totally gotten your attention and that she's totally attracted you to the point where you're already thinking about the next date, okay? She needs to have time to wonder if you had a good enough time to want to even ask her out again. And as messed up as that sounds, like I said, I have found that when I have tried to ask women out for a second date on the same day that I had a first date, that more often than not, the woman either flakes on me or for whatever reason, it appears like I'm suddenly too needy because it's like I'm already basically in her head saying, I've already decided on you as my person, so we're already going out with each other. And so I know if I ask you on this date, you're already going to agree to it. Versus giving her time to wonder about you, to think about you, to wonder if maybe you didn't have a good time or you're just being nice or courteous, or if you have other women on the docket and so that's why you're not asking her out right away. Because like I've said before, women like the idea of their guy possibly having other women or being able to get other women, even if she wants to be the one to date him overall. So it behooves you to err on the side of waiting a few days after that first date or second date or whatever before you ask for that next date, okay? The other mistake that he made is one that I've talked about before, which is he tried to ask her out for a Saturday afternoon. Now, what have I told you? I've said time and time again, Fridays and Saturdays are the days that you ask out women that you actually are already in a relationship with, or you wait until the woman that you're dating recommends those days, because those are days that she's going to reserve for family, friends, and other people in her lives that she's already close to and has a relationship with. As she's getting to know you and starts to build a better rapport with you and starts to be more trusting of you, then she will be the one to start to ask for those days, which is her way of saying, hey, I believe that I could have you in my circle a lot longer, and so therefore I now want to invite you to go on dates on these days. But until that happens, you suggesting those days, more often than not, you're going to get shot down. And it could be by a woman that actually wants to see you, but again, when she goes on a first date with you, she's not expecting to have the world's greatest time, because most women's experience is that most dates they're going to go on, it's not going to work out. So she's not reserving her weekends for dates because she's wanting to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is the time when I get to relax and not have to be on for a new person. I can just relax people that I already know. And as I've said in previous videos, for a lot of women, the exercise of having to meet new people, having to get to know them can be exhausting. She doesn't want to feel exhausted on Fridays and Saturdays. So try to stick to only offering out there Sunday through Thursday dates. Unless she's a woman that is some woman that has a really busy schedule during the course of the week, like nurses. Nurses tend to work like all these weird kind of hours during the weeknights, during the weekday. So that might be a person where you can get away with the Friday and Saturday and it not look like you're trying to galvanize her time or looking like you've already decided on her as a person, because women are reading that. Women are reading that if you're taking them out on a Friday or Saturday, you've already decided that they're your person. But one date should not be enough to determine that. So again, err on the side of doing it Sunday through Thursday and recommending dates, and don't ask for Fridays and Saturdays, because more likely than not, they're going to be busy. But let's see if that's the situation that she has. So he asked, let's try to hang out Saturday afternoon if you're free. And she responds, I should be off Saturday because that's my aunt's birthday party thing, but we can do something before that if you want. So what is she saying here? She's saying she is busy Saturday. Now, she's trying to be nice in a way and not outright fully reject this guy's day by saying, hey, we can do it earlier in the day. But here's the thing, is that even if she says that, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's her preferential way of going about having a date with you. Because think about that. Let's say her aunt's birthday party is at 2:00 on Saturday. So she's trying to say, hey, we can do something in the morning. So that means that now you have to try to figure out a morning date which I advise against because that's not really the most romantic time of day to be dating a woman, especially a woman that you're dating for the first time. But more to the point, the whole time you're on the date with her, all she's going to be thinking is, but at this time, I got to go. I got a deadline at this time, and I got to be out of here. And then, well, do I still have to buy a gift for my aunt? Or what if somebody calls her and says, hey, can you come right away and help with like setting up the birthday party because we want to make sure that everything's set up before 2 o'clock happens or whatever. So you never want to agree to taking a woman out on a date where she's already saying that she has other things to do, because you don't want to, you want to have consideration for her time and what she's already doing, but also you don't want any other plans that could get in the way of you guys being able to have a good time without her having these other things she has to do on her head, okay? So when this kind of thing comes up, recognize that she's trying to be nice because she's trying to say, I really do want to see you and I don't want to upset you. So I'm trying to compromise by making some part of the day be yours and mine. But that doesn't mean that she wants to actually do that, or that's going to be the best way for her to get to know you. So what you do in these situations is say, oh, you got your aunt's thing on Saturday. Hey, you know what? That's totally fine. We can do something next week. I know next week I'm going to be free on Tuesday and Thursday. Let me know which of those days works for you and I'll set something up. That's it. That still lets her know that you still want to see her and that you appreciate her putting something out there, but that you're also recognizing that this is not the best day for her. And you as a guy should never be so rushed to have to see a woman. Like a lot of guys will think, well, I just got to take any day that she suggests because I want to see her right away and I got to let her know that I really, really like her. But a woman that has a good time with you on a date, that wants to see you again, it can happen at any time and she's still going to say yes. I remember one time, I wanted to see somebody. I was going to be visiting somebody, this girl who I really liked a while back, visiting her state to see her. And so I hit her up like early September saying, hey, I want to take you out. I'm going to be in your city this day. Let me know if you're going to be free. And she said, cool. That was the beginning of September. Our date and the time I was going to be scheduled to see her was going to be late September. I did not contact this chick until like a couple of days before I was going to hit her town. And the date still happened. So don't think you need to have all this communication one between dates, but also recognize that if a woman's interested, you could set the date for a week from now or 3 weeks from now. If she likes you and is getting to want to know you more, she's going to say yes. Don't think you got to rush in with these, dates or agree to them like right after a previous date just happened, all right? So she said the thing she said. She said she can do Saturday sometime before or whatever. And he says, okay, I'm down with that. Mistake. Or crap, if you want to get together when you get off tomorrow, I'm down with that too. Whenever is best for you. Okay, so this is what this guy's doing now, is he's setting up a last minute date, which is also not a great idea because you want to, in the beginning, give a woman the impression that your time is valuable and that you're not available all the time. Because to women, a guy that's available all the time is a guy that doesn't have a life going on, maybe doesn't have any friends, doesn't have any other dating prospects, and is now looking to her to be the one to take up all his time. And that is not the impression you want to give. So again, this is why it's good to apply a little bit of patience to your dating life, because you want to give the impression that you have other things going on that are more important than dating her. Now I know that sounds crazy because you're like, but shouldn't she know that she's important enough to me to want to go out with her whenever I can? And the answer is honestly, no. A woman wants to be brought into your life. She doesn't want to become your whole life. And so you need to have stuff going on in your life outside of her to let her know, hey, as important as you could potentially be, if you happen to go away or whatever, I still have my own life that I'm living. I got goals that I'm chasing, got friends to visit, whatever. And so just like she's saying, hey, I'm not going to let this guy be all the way important yet because he's not quite in my life, you got to give her that same impression so she doesn't feel pressured or feel that you're trying to pressure her into potentially being with her, okay? So he says this thing, whenever I'm down, whatever is best for you. That's the thing too. Don't ever say whatever is best for you. I mean, if you're presenting a date and you're saying like, hey, I can go out on this day or this day, let me know what works for you. But don't have it open-ended where it's like, any day that works for you, whatever, I'm fine with whatever's gonna work for you in any kind of capacity. Like, don't do that. Set parameters for yourself too. Let her know that just like she has a schedule of stuff going on, you also have scheduled times and days that you can see her, and it's not all the time. So she responds back and says, I get off at like 5 or 5:30 and I'll have to go home and change, but I'm down. Now, she's agreed to the date. And the next text she says is, we could do something in Pool. I'm assuming that's the city, okay? So she's agreeing to this time frame, okay? But here's the thing. If she's saying she gets off at 5:30, have to go down home and change this, whatever, this is when you as a guy have to come in and actually solidify parts of this plan. So she's saying after 5:30, I got to go home and change. That's when you come with, okay, great. So you get home at 5, you get off at 5:30, you got to go home and change. So let's set something for 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And we can do a thing at this day and time. Like, you as the guy ultimately are going to have to be the one to bring the specifics into this, because women don't just say things like, oh yeah, anytime after 5:30 is fine. But she needs you to come in and actually like really finalize what that means. What does that mean in terms of we're going to meet up wherever? Are we going to meet at a certain place? We're going to meet at a certain time? Like, you have to be the one to have the suggestions. And women are going to look for you for the suggested places for the specific time frames, okay? So don't expect them to be the ones to spit that stuff out. The fact that she even mentioned the city or some part of town is great, but you're gonna say, yeah, we meet in Pooler. Let's meet at this restaurant. Let's meet at this park. Let's do this activity at this time. You gotta be the one to bring those things up, all right? So continuing, she says, we could do something in Pooler, and he says, okay, that'll be fine with me. What's your favorite thing to do in Pooler? No. We are going to get away from this practice of asking women what their favorite thing is to do. You're the guy, and you're the one that's asking her on dates. You're planning the activities, okay? You're going to come forth and give a specific day, time, and plan of what you're going to do. If she likes it, she'll go along with it. If she doesn't like it, she will spit something out. But do not ask her what her favorite thing is, because in the early phases of dating, women are looking at you to see, what kind of plans can this guy make? Is he a planner? What kind of fun activities can he come up with? She's looking to you to see what kind of leader you're going to be, and if you're able to plan a fun evening without her input. And so many women complain about how men come to them and ask them, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What time do you want to meet up? Because women just want to go with the flow. They spend their whole work days thinking about stuff and having to make decisions, and when they get home, they don't want to. Now you might think to yourself, but I'm a guy and I do the same thing. I make decisions all day too. Yeah, but we're equipped to want to actually do that. We like thinking. We like making plans. We like trying to think of the next thing we're going to do. It's in our DNA to want to do that crap. Women do it because they have to in this 21st century world by default, because they have jobs they got to go to, they got to support themselves. But their general default is to just be like, I'm going to trust my man to make the decisions and go with the flow. And I'm going to trust him enough to know the kind of activity to plan. So be that freaking guy, all right? But he says, what's your favorite thing to do in Pooler? And then she says, it usually just depends, but if we go somewhere outside, I can bring my dog and you can meet her. All right. So at this point, he should be saying, okay, great, let's meet here and this and that, whatever, okay? And at this point, the conversation should end, because really the goal of using the phone is to get the date. She's already agreed to being able to meet him in a certain city and to do an outside activity. The next thing you should say is, great, let's meet at this time at this place for this activity. I'll see you tomorrow. That should be the end of it. But he's about to make the mistake that most guys make, which is, no. We're talking on the phone, texting. I want to continue talking on the phone. And this is why you guys need to get my book, Texting Like a Boss, at the website, because I talk about this kind of thing in the book, about how the more you're talking, you're thinking you're building a bond or connecting, but you should be saving the majority of this for in person, because after a while, texting conversations start to get boring, and a woman's going to be looking to you to end the conversation, whether it's she says the last word and you just stop talking, or you say the last word and then you just know that the next time you talk to her is when you see her in person or when you're getting ready to go see her, okay? But continuing on, because you had to keep talking. So she says thing about, you can meet my dog, and then he says, I would love to meet her. What's her name? She says, Amber. She's a hound mix, so she's usually pretty chill. And then she says, to be honest, I'm so mad I didn't kiss you bye tonight. I'm so awkward with that. Now, that's not the worst thing in the world, because obviously it's nice to hear a woman say that she wanted to kiss you. If this ever happens to you, a positive response to give would be like, oh, really? Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Or you could be joking and say, really? I don't know. Are you a good kisser? Because, I'm pretty good. Are you good too? Like, make it a jokey thing, okay? That's the way you can handle it, where it's jokey and you're coming across as a guy that's like, well, of course you wanted to kiss me because I'm so awesome at this. And of course we had a great time. Why wouldn't you want to kiss me? We'll make it happen soon enough, okay? But let's see how this guy answers. So he says, he responds to the dog thing first. He says, I would bring Brooklyn's dog, but whoever Brooklyn is, but he's not so chill. And then he says, and I wanted to meaning he wanted to kiss you. He wanted to kiss her. I wanted to kiss you too, but I didn't know if you were feeling the vibe. But tomorrow for sure. And then he says, I can be awkward with that type of situation too, so it's okay. So what does this guy try to do? He's trying to do the thing where whatever she says, he's going to try to empathize with and agree with her so that it looks like they're in connection with each other in terms of they have the same feelings of nervousness. You as a guy do not win any points for admitting nervousness or for admitting apprehension, because as it's okay for women to voice those things because of the two of you, she's looking for you to be the leader and be the stronger one. So when you come back and say, oh, I was also the weaker one in this situation too, that does not bode well, okay? This is why I said the positive response would be to be jokey, be like, oh, you wanted to kiss me? Well, of course you did, but whatever. Like, be a little cocky with it, be a little fun with it, but don't go into the thing of like, oh, I was nervous too, I get awkward, I don't always know how to handle. Like, women don't want to hear that. Women want to hear that, of course, she wanted to kiss you because you're an awesome kisser and you're a great guy. Why wouldn't anybody want to kiss you? So lead with that kind of attitude should this kind of comment from her come up. So then she says, ha, you should. They can keep each other occupied. That's about the dog. And then she says, and tomorrow for sure, in reference to the kiss can happen tomorrow for sure. All right. Then she says, did you make it home okay? So then she says, question mark. Then he says, he's responding to the dog thing now. He says, I don't know. He might get hyper. LOL. He just barks a lot. I'll ask Brooklyn if I can take him. I'm sure she won't mind. And then she says, oh gosh. So she's already said, let's have our dogs meet up or whatever. Why this guy is suddenly bringing to the situation that, oh, well, this other dog, he can bark a whole lot and he can be kind of scary or whatever. Like, a woman doesn't want to hear that the dog you're going to bring on a walk with them is like extra scary or whatever. Like, this dude is now basically making this date look like a not so good idea. He already said he was apprehensive about a kiss. Then he's not sure where they should meet up or what time. He's not specifying any details. And now he's bringing the scary dog into the situation. Can you start to see how this woman could start to think like, maybe this isn't such a great idea because this guy is not very confident. He's not a very leadership type of guy. And he has a dog that might potentially be barky and scary towards my dog. He's going to attack me. He's going to attack my dog. Like, you don't want to create doubts in a woman's mind about agreeing to a second date with you that you're trying to set up. So then she says, oh gosh. Then he says, and yes, definitely tomorrow, in reference to the kiss. Then he says, and yes, I did. I literally just pulled up into my driveway. Oh, this is reference to him getting back home okay. And then he says, well, my parents' driveway. And then she says, Amber gets hyper too, in reference to the dog. She'll be excited to have a friend. Glad you made it home okay. And then he continues the conversation. He's saying, how old is she? And okay, I'll bring him tomorrow. If he acts up, I'll just take him back home. I only live like 10 minutes away, LOL. But thank you. I had a lot of fun tonight. Glad you got to come out. So what's he starting to do now? He's now starting to send longer and longer paragraphs, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep your paragraphs and your sentences to women at a minimum, because the longer it starts to get, you start to get a big old wall of text, and it just doesn't look good to women when you're sending long streams of text, okay? You want to keep them short and sweet as best you can. She says she's 2, and I'm sure he won't act that bad. And honestly, Sam, I was so nervous. So they're still talking about this nervous kiss. And he's still thinking that telling her that she was nervous is going to bond them together. That's not typically how this stuff works. Continuing, he talks about the dog again. He says he flips out when dogs walk past our street. So we'll see. And don't be nervous. I don't bite. LOL, I was nervous too. You still look as beautiful as always. That last part was not necessary. You do not need to be complimenting girls early on about how beautiful they look or how stunning they are. Like, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to say, but men say that because it's hoping it's going to win them points. And you win points by taking them on a good date, having a good time. And if you're going to compliment anything on them in the beginning, compliment, hey, I like the earrings you picked out. Oh, your smells really good. Your dress looks nice. Like, compliment things that she actively did in reference to picking things out for herself to make her look good. Don't try to point out like physical parts that look good on her or how attractive and beautiful she is, because she hears that all the time. So it's like air to her. It's nothing. And also it makes it look like you're focusing more on her body than, her as a person. So he sent that text, and that was like the Tuesday that they went out or whatever. Fast forward to the next day. It's now past the 5:30 mark. It's past the 6 o'clock mark, and she has not texted him. And so he sent the text saying, hey, did you still want to go out to Pooler tonight? And so now he's wondering if he did something wrong. But here's the problem, okay? In the previous text day that they had, that's when he should have solidified times and places to meet. So they mentioned Pooler. They didn't mention where in Pooler. They didn't mention what time and pooler. They didn't mention how they're going to get there. Is he going to pick her up? Or are they just going to meet there? He didn't set any plans. So what I imagine is that this woman's sitting at home thinking, okay, I told him I was getting off at 5:30, and I told him I just need time to get home and get dressed, but he hasn't texted me back about what's going on. Are we having this date? And so she's probably waiting for him to text and say, hey, I'm coming over here, or hey, let's meet up this and that. He never set out any plans. So why would she then text him about anything? It's not her job to be the one to say, hey, so are we still going out? Hey, what's happening? Are we meeting? This is that. For all we know, she could think that he wasn't really interested and is not setting up anything. And so she's just made other plans. But we don't know that because he didn't make the plans. He left everything open-ended and thought, we'll just figure it out later. And he didn't solidify anything. So if nothing else, guys, what this texting exchange should teach you is it's very important as a guy to make sure that every date that you set up is solidified with a day, time, location, place, and transportation of how she's going to get there. Because women are going to expect you to be the ones to set those things up. You cannot expect them to come back later and set that stuff up. It's not their job. You're the one asking them for the date. So you set the plans in motion. But more to the point, all these extra things he was texting throughout this course of this text exchange, it's just not necessary. You trying to plan a date that next day or that Saturday, not necessary. You trying to put together a last minute date for a girl you just started dating, not necessary. You trying to admit how nervous you were about possibly kissing a woman, not necessary. And you having a text exchange going this long just to set up a freaking date, none of that is necessary. The phone is to be used only to set up dates in the beginning, nothing more. As she gets to know you more, she will start to initiate more texts that indicate that she wants to have longer conversations. And when that happens, what she's really saying is, I want to see you more. That's when you can up it from seeing her once or twice a week to seeing her like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But you don't want to overextend yourself in the beginning. You don't want to see her too much too soon. You don't want to set up weekend dates, and you definitely don't want to set up last minute dates that indicate that you have nothing else going on. All right. So re-listen to this episode, look over this text exchange again, and look at what he did right, what he did wrong, and learn from it so that way you will not make those same mistakes. And like I said, go to my website and please, 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 if nothing else other than just to help yourself, get the book, Texting Like a Boss. It'll really solidify for you the ins and outs, the yeses and nos, the do's and don'ts of texting women, so you'll know how to do it the right way, and you'll know how to be able to keep and hold on to women longer because you won't be making these mistakes that this guy did, all right? So hopefully they helped you out. As always, for more of these podcasts, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. Go there now to check out my ebooks, audiobooks, programs, and other things that are designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Also, like I said, my best-selling ebook, No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams, you can get at the website for free simply by signing up for my video coaching newsletter with your name and email address, and it'll be sent to you right away to start listening to and to start reading so you can learn better what not to do in your quest to figure out how to date the proper way, okay? Lastly, guys, like I said, if you want one of your text exchanges answered or looked at and analyzed on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. If you just have a question in general that you want answered on the show, same email address, HarryWilmington@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to answer and or analyze your texting on this show, all right? That's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for listening. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next podcast. I'm out. Peace.